My wedding was perfect until my uncle screamed, "Don't marry her." I laughed it off, thought he was drunk. Then I found her secret texts. His warning wasn't crazy. On my wedding day in Seattle, the church was packed with family and friends. My heart raced as I stood at the altar, ready to marry Emily, my fiancée of 2 years. The air smelled of roses, and sunlight streamed through stained glass windows. Everything felt perfect until it wasn't. Halfway through our vows, my Uncle Mike, drunk as a skunk, stumbled to his feet. His tie was loose, his face red. "I object," he slurred, loud enough to make heads turn. My stomach dropped. I thought he'd rant about Emily, since he'd never liked her. Instead, he staggered toward me, dropped to one knee, and declared his love for me. The crowd gasped. My best man, Jake, froze. Emily's eyes widened in horror. I tried to laugh it off, waving at Mike to stand up. "Come on, man, not now," I said, my voice shaking. But he kept mumbling about how I deserved better, his words a drunken mess. My cousins rushed in, grabbing him by the arms. He flailed, shouting nonsense, as they carried him out like a sack of potatoes. The room buzzed with whispers. I caught Emily's gaze. Her face was pale, her hands trembling. We pushed through the ceremony, but the mood was ruined. Guests avoided eye contact at the reception, and most left early. I tried cracking jokes, clinking glasses with Emily, but the weight of Mike's outburst hung over us. Why did he do it, I wondered, my mind spinning. Was he just drunk, or was there something more? That night, as Emily and I lay in our hotel room, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Mike's hatred for Emily wasn't new, but his stunt felt desperate, like he knew something I didn't. I stared at the ceiling, my heart heavy, wondering if this was a sign. The joy of our wedding day was gone, replaced by a gnawing doubt that would only grow in the weeks to come. The weeks after our wedding felt like walking on eggshells. Emily and I moved into our new apartment in Tacoma, trying to start fresh. The view of Puget Sound from our balcony was supposed to be romantic, but the air between us was tense. I wanted to forget Uncle Mike's drunken stunt at the church, chalk it up to too much whiskey. Emily, though, seemed different, distant, like she was somewhere else. I'd catch her staring out the window, her face blank, barely responding when I spoke. "You okay?" I'd ask. She'd nod, force a smile, and say, "Just tired." But it wasn't just tiredness. Something was off, and it gnawed at me. We used to love our weekend trips to a mini golf course in Tacoma. It was our spot, where we'd laugh at my terrible swings and her wild putts, the neon lights and cheesy music making us feel like kids. I thought going back would spark something, bring us closer. One Saturday morning, over coffee and pancakes, I suggested it. "Let's hit the golf course today," I said, hopeful. Emily barely looked up from her phone. "Can't today," she mumbled. I promised Lisa I'd help her with some errands. Lisa, her friend, had just returned from a Hawaii trip, looking relaxed last time we saw her. "Errands?" I asked, frowning. "She's been stressed," Emily said, her voice flat. It didn't add up. Lisa was always busy, sure, but this felt like an excuse. I pushed. "What about tomorrow?" Emily bit her lip, her eyes darting. "Got work to catch up on," she said. "Work? On a Sunday?" My gut twisted. I let it go, said we'd find another day, but her words hung in the air like smoke. The excuses piled up. She'd be late coming home, claiming meetings or girls' night. Once, she said she was grabbing coffee with Lisa, but I saw a $50 charge at a bar in downtown Tacoma on our joint account. When I asked, she shrugged it off. Lisa paid for dinner. I got drinks. Her eyes wouldn't meet mine. I started noticing her phone was always glued to her hand, screen tilted away from me. At night, she'd roll over, her back to me, texting under the covers. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. Was she pulling away because of the wedding fiasco, or was something else going on? The Emily I fell in love with, the one who'd laugh until she snorted, was slipping away. I felt like I was losing her, and the worst part, I didn't know why. My suspicions about Emily grew like a weed, choking out any peace I had left. Our Tacoma apartment, once a hopeful new start, felt like a stage for her evasions. She was always on her phone, her fingers tapping away, her face lit by the screen's glow. One night, we were sprawled on the couch, half watching a rom-com on Netflix. I was into it, chuckling at a dumb joke, but Emily was glued to her phone, giggling at something I couldn't see. "What's so funny?" I asked, leaning over. Her smile vanished. She flipped her phone face down. "Nothing, just a meme," she said, her voice too quick. I raised an eyebrow. "Show me." She hesitated, then laughed it off. "You wouldn't get it," she said, her eyes darting away. My chest tightened. Why was she hiding it? That night, after she went to bed, I lay awake, my mind racing. Her dismissals, her late nights, her excuses, they were piling up. I couldn't ignore it anymore. Around midnight, I crept to the nightstand where her phone was charging. My hands shook as I picked it up. I knew her passcode, our anniversary date. Unlocking it felt wrong, like crossing a line, but I had to know. I opened her messages. My heart sank. There were threads with unsaved numbers, one standing out, a string of texts filled with memes, emojis, and casual banter. I scrolled up, my pulse pounding. "Long day, so boring," Emily had written. "Wish I was with someone fun." The reply, "Next time, we'll skip the boring and get to the fun." My stomach churned. No explicit proof of cheating, but the flirty tone, the intimacy, it was enough to make my skin crawl. Who was this guy? Why was she so comfortable with him? I put the phone back, my hands trembling. I didn't sleep that night, staring at the ceiling, replaying her laugh, her secrecy. The next day, I watched her closer. She was cagey, always angling dangling her phone away, locking it when I walked by. I checked our bank app, another charge, $75 at a cocktail bar in Seattle she hadn't mentioned. Girls' night, she'd said, but why hide it? I called my friend Tom, who'd seen Emily at a cafe in Portland with a guy he didn't know. Didn't think much of it, Tom said. Thought he was a co-worker. My jaw clenched. Co-worker? Emily worked from home. I felt sick, betrayed, like the ground was slipping under me. Every laugh, every "I'm busy" was a knife twist. Was she lying to my face? I needed answers, but confronting her now felt too soon. I had to be sure, had to dig deeper, even if it broke me. The doubt in my gut was a constant ache now, like a bruise I couldn't stop pressing. Emily's secrecy was eating me alive, and our Tacoma apartment felt more like a crime scene than a home. I became obsessed, piecing together clues to confirm what I dreaded. Every night, I'd lie awake, her phone's glow haunting me. I needed proof, something undeniable, before I could face her. So, I started digging. I checked our bank statements first. There were charges I couldn't explain, $120 at a trendy Portland restaurant, $65 at a wine bar in Seattle, places she never mentioned. Work stuff, she'd say when I asked, her eyes avoiding mine. Work stuff? She was a freelance graphic designer, not whining and dining clients. My heart pounded as I screenshot each transaction, building my case. I went back to her phone when she was asleep, my hands sweaty as I scrolled through her texts. The unsaved number was still there, their chats longer now. Missed you at the bar, the guy wrote. Emily's reply, next time, I'm all yours. My throat tightened. I found deleted messages in her trash folder, photos of them at a cafe, her smiling, his hand on her arm. I recognized the place, a hipster spot in Portland's Pearl District. I screenshot everything, my fingers shaking. I felt like a detective, but every clue was a stab to my chest. I called my friend Anna, who'd seen Emily at that same cafe with a guy. He looked too cozy to be a friend, Anna admitted, her voice soft. I didn't want to worry you. Too late for that. My mind spiraled, replaying every moment I'd missed, her late nights, her locked phone, her excuses. I dug into her social media, something I'd never done before. Her Instagram had vague posts, sunsets, coffee cups, captions like living for the moment, but her tagged photos told a different story. A blurry shot from a bar showed her laughing with a guy, his arm around her waist. The timestamp matched a night she'd claimed to be with Lisa. I cross-checked her emails, finding receipts for hotel bookings in Bellevue, $200 for a night she said she was visiting family. Family? Her parents lived in Spokane. Each discovery was a gut punch, confirming she'd been living a double life. I felt angry, foolish, betrayed. How had I been so blind? The woman I loved, who I'd vowed to build a life with, was slipping through my fingers, and I was the last to know. One night, I sat alone in our living room, the TV muted, staring at my laptop. I'd compiled a folder of evidence screenshots, bank charges, Anna's texts. It was undeniable now, but it didn't ease the pain. My hands shook as I closed the laptop, my chest heavy with grief. I wanted to confront Emily, to scream, to demand answers, but I needed one last piece. I remembered her mentioning Lisa's stressful errands. I called Lisa, keeping it casual. Hey, you and Emily been hanging out a lot? I asked. Lisa paused. Not really. She's been super busy. My blood ran cold. Another lie. I hung up, my mind racing. Emily wasn't just hiding something, she was hiding someone. I needed to know who and why she'd dragged my Uncle Mike into this mess. His drunken stunt at the wedding wasn't random. He knew something. I had to find out what, even if it shattered me completely. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. The evidence I'd gathered, screenshots, bank charges, lies, burned a hole in my chest. Emily's secrets were suffocating me, and I needed answers. One Friday night, I saw her getting ready to go out, her black dress hugging her curves, heels clicking on our Tacoma apartment's hardwood floor. It was 9 p.m., too late for errands. My heart pounded as I watched her apply lipstick in the mirror, her phone buzzing nonstop. Going somewhere? I asked, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. She glanced up, startled. Just a girl's night, she said, brushing it off. Forgot to tell you. Her eyes darted away, and I snapped. Emily, I know you're cheating, I said, my voice low but firm. Her face froze, her mascara wand hovering midair. What are you talking about? She stammered, her eyes wide. I pulled out my phone, showing her the screenshots, texts with the unsaved number, the $120 restaurant charge, the hotel receipt from Bellevue. Explain this, I said, my hands shaking. She stared at the screen, her lips trembling. You went through my phone? She shot back, her voice rising. You don't trust me. I laughed bitterly. Trust you? You've been lying for months. She crossed her arms, defensive. Those texts aren't what you think. It's just harmless fun. Harmless? My blood boiled. You told him you wished you were with someone fun, I said. That's not harmless. Emily's eyes filled with tears, but I wasn't buying it. You're blowing this out of proportion, she said. Someone's framing me. Framing her? I scoffed. I saw the messages while you were asleep, Emily. Stop lying. She bit her lip, her facade cracking. Okay, fine, she said, her voice shaking. It was just flirting. I was lonely. You're always working. I shook my head, my chest tight. I tried to make time for you. Golf, dinner, anything. You pushed me away. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. I saw you with him in Portland, I said, my voice breaking. Anna saw you too. Her face went pale. She opened her mouth, then closed it. No words left. Then she said something that stopped me cold. Did Did your Uncle Mike tell you this? My jaw dropped. What does Mike have to do with this? I asked, my mind racing. She hesitated, her eyes flickering with panic. Just check my phone again, she mumbled. I grabbed her phone from the counter, my hands trembling. I scrolled through her texts, finding nothing about Mike. What's going on, Emily? I demanded. She sank onto the couch, tears streaming down her face. I didn't want it to come to this, she whispered. My stomach twisted. Mike's drunken outburst at the wedding flashed in my mind, his objection, his desperate plea. Did he know about her cheating? Was he trying to warn me? I needed to talk to him, to get the truth, no matter how much it hurt. The next morning, I drove to a quiet cafe in Bellevue to meet Uncle Mike. My hands gripped the steering wheel, my mind a mess of anger and questions. Emily's words mentioning Mike kept replaying. What did he know? The cafe smelled of fresh coffee, but the cozy vibe did nothing to calm me. Mike sat in a corner booth, looking rough bags under his eyes, his usual loud energy gone. Hey, kid, he said, his voice low. I didn't waste time. Emily said you know something about her cheating, I said, my jaw tight. What's going on? He sighed, rubbing his face, and I braced myself. I'm sorry, Mike started, his voice heavy. I should have told you before the wedding. My heart sank. Told me what? I pressed. He looked down, ashamed. I knew Emily was cheating. Saw her with some guy at a bar in Seattle months before you got engaged. My stomach twisted. Why didn't you say anything? I asked, my voice rising. He winced. It's complicated. Complicated? I leaned forward, fists clenched. Tell me. He took a deep breath. Emily found out about Lisa, my girlfriend. She's transgender. He paused, his eyes searching mine. Emily threatened to tell the family if I exposed her affair. Our family, they'd disown me. You know how they are. I sat back, stunned. Our family was old school, conservative. Mike coming out about Lisa would have been a bombshell. She blackmailed you? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He nodded, his face crumpled. She said she'd ruin me if I told you. I tried to stop the wedding, got drunk, made a fool of myself. Thought maybe you'd figure it out. My mind flashed to his outburst. The slurred, I object, the chaos. It wasn't just booze, it was desperation. I felt a mix of betrayal and pity. You let me marry her, I said, my voice breaking. You knew, and you let me walk into this. Mike's eyes watered. I was scared, kid. I'm so sorry. I stared at my coffee, untouched, my chest tight. Emily hadn't just betrayed me. She'd manipulated Mike, used his secret to keep her own. I was angry, not just at her, but at him too, for staying silent. Yet I saw his pain, his fear. He was trapped, just like I'd been. I wish you'd told me, I said finally. But I get it. Mike nodded, his shoulders sagging. I'll make it right, he said. Whatever you need. I didn't know what that meant yet, but I knew one thing. Emily's lies had torn through both of us, and I needed to end this for good. I couldn't stay in that Tacoma apartment anymore, surrounded by Emily's lies. Mike's confession had lit a fire in me, not just anger, but resolve. I loved her once, but the woman I married was a stranger now, weaving a web of deceit that trapped me and my uncle. I met with a lawyer the next week, a sharp woman in Seattle who laid out my options. You've got solid grounds, she said, flipping through my folder of screenshots and bank charges. I nodded, my throat tight. Filing for divorce felt like admitting defeat, but staying felt like surrender. I chose to fight for myself. Back home, I waited for Emily. She came in late, her heels clicking, her face tired but guarded. I asked her to sit down, my voice calm but cold. She sensed it immediately, her eyes narrowing. What's this about? She asked, her voice shaky. I slid the divorce papers across the kitchen table. Her face went pale, her hands trembling as she stared at the documents. You're serious? She whispered. I nodded. I can't do this anymore, Emily. The lies, the cheating, the blackmail, you broke us. Her eyes filled with tears, but I felt numb. Please, she begged, her voice cracking. I'll stop talking to him. I'll change. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. It's not just the affair, I said. You blackmailed Mike, used his secret to hide yours. That's not love. She sobbed, her shoulders shaking. I was scared you'd leave me, she said. I love you. Those words, ones I used to cherish, felt hollow now. You don't hurt someone you love like this, I said, my voice steady. You chose this. She tried to argue, claiming she was lonely, that I was distant. I shook my head. I tried, Emily. You pushed me away. Her tears didn't sway me this time. I thought of the nights I lay awake, the pain of her betrayal, the way she manipulated Mike to keep her secrets. Trust was gone, and no amount of begging could fix it. I'm done, I said, standing up. I left the papers on the table, her sobs echoing behind me as I walked out. Driving away, I felt a weight lift, even as my heart ached. I loved her once, but I deserved better. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in months, I felt free. I crashed at a friend's place in Bellevue, staring at the city lights, ready to rebuild what Emily had shattered. Leaving Emily was like stepping out of a fog. The pain lingered, but I felt lighter, like I could breathe again. I moved into a small apartment in Seattle, the city's skyline a reminder of new beginnings. Therapy became my anchor. My therapist, Dr. Carter, helped me unpack the betrayal, the lies, the self-doubt. You're not defined by her choices, she said. Slowly, I started to believe it. I'd felt worthless, like I wasn't enough, but she showed me my strength, my worth. Each session peeled back a layer of hurt, helping me see I deserved better. I threw myself into old passions I'd neglected. Painting, something I loved in college, became my escape. I set up an easel in my living room, losing hours to vibrant colors and bold strokes. It was messy, imperfect, but it felt like me. I also started running along the Seattle waterfront, the salty air clearing my head. At first, it was just a way to burn off anger, but soon, I craved the rhythm of my sneakers on the pavement. I wasn't just running from Emily's betrayal, I was running toward myself. Rebuilding with Uncle Mike was slower. We met for coffee often, talking through the mess. He was remorseful, haunted by his silence. I should have been braver, he said, his voice heavy. I forgave him, knowing Emily's blackmail had trapped him too. We worked on trust, one honest conversation at a time. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. 2 years later, I felt ready to date again. My friends pushed me to try, saying I deserved to feel alive. I was nervous, my confidence shaky, but I signed up for a dating app. Most dates were awkward, forgettable, but then I met Lauren. We clicked over coffee in a cozy Bellevue cafe, her laugh warm, her eyes kind. She was a teacher, passionate and honest, everything Emily wasn't. Our first date stretched into dinner, then a walk by Lake Washington. I told her about my past, the wedding, the betrayal, the divorce. She listened, no judgment, just understanding. You're stronger than you know, she said, squeezing my hand. My heart stirred, hopeful. Lauren showed me what a real partnership could be. She cheered my painting, joined my runs, and never hid her phone. We built something simple, honest. One night, as we watched the sunset from Gasworks Park, she leaned against me, her warmth steadying me. I wasn't fully healed, but I was getting there. Emily's lies had broken me, but I was rebuilding, piece by piece, stronger than before.